Hello, I'm Tim Black. Thank you for tuning into the show. I appreciate you being here. Become a member of my Wolf Pack. Also become a Patreon member. That means you support what we do and you're willing to put a little skin in the game to keep independent media from dying. If you are a person who's been following the Russiagate phenomena, if you're a person who has been wondering when we're going to get to the bottom of the whole issue of Trump, the DNC's documents being exposed and what really happened there, and did Trump actually get help from the Russians? Did this occur? And if so, show me the hacking. Donald Trump levels sanctions at Russia that I feel would be an act of war, or a declaration of war. When you cut off a country's economic ability to feed itself, clothe itself, to keep its economy alive, then you have effectively declared war. And that, I feel, was done only done because Donald Trump needed to distance himself from Russia. Someone that he made it very clear throughout the process of the campaign and the national, or the general election, that he wanted to work with Russia. Now that's blown out the water, and now we find ourselves at odds with a superpower. I believe that without the Russiagate propaganda, this story that once again has no evidence, in reality, none of it's been presented to us, without that story, without that being leveled around the neck of Donald Trump, I don't feel like he would have issued those sanctions. So, if you're someone who wants the truth and you've been chomping at the bit, so to speak, to try to find out what it is, I give you an article by The Nation published yesterday entitled, "A New Report Raises Big Questions About Last Year's DNC Hack." I'm going to put this in the comment description below, in the description box below, so that you can go check it out for yourself. There was no hack of the Democratic National Committee system on July 5th last year, not by the Russians, not by anyone else. Hard science now demonstrates it was a leak. A download executed locally with a memory key or similar portable data storage device. Like one of these. One of these. That's what did it. In this document, I'm going to give you names of people, expertise of these people who have concluded that there was no way that the documents that were taken from the DNC and later transmitted or sent or delivered to WikiLeaks, however they got them, the original way that those documents were obtained from DNC servers was this, or something similar. Something done at the computer, local. Not something from someone from far away using the internet to get to a computer and coming through a back door and sending information, but someone physically there. Forensic investigators, prominent among them, with decades of experience at high levels in our national security institutions, have put a body of evidence on a table previously left empty. They have been saying that the Russians hacked the election, but they haven't presented any data to show it. They have not shown us what's their science, how they got to that conclusion. They just say, we're pretty sure. We're pretty sure it happened. Show us something. What do you have? What makes you so sure? And there's been nothing there. Well, Trump talked to this person. Okay, what does that have to do with the DNC hack, which is the whole purpose of what you're saying, that the DNC was hacked, and that is what caused Hillary Clinton the election. You're saying the DNC hack were perpetrated by the Russians. Show us how you get to that point. Qualified experts working independently of one another began to examine the DNC case immediately after July 2016 events. Prominent among these is a group comprising former intelligence officers, almost of all whom previously occupied senior positions. Veteran intelligence professionals for Sanity, or VIPs, founded in 2003, now has 30 members, including a few associates with backgrounds in national security fields other than intelligence. The chief researchers active on the DNC case are William Binney, formerly the NSA's technical director for world geopolitical and military analysis and designer of many agency programs now in use, Kirk Wiebe, formerly a senior analyst at NSA's Signet Automation Research Center. Edward Loomis, formerly technical director in the NSA's Office of Signal Processing, and Ray McGovern, an intelligence analysis for nearly 3 decades and formerly chief of the CIA's Soviet Foreign Policy Branch. Most of these men have decades of experience in matters concerning Russian intelligence and the related technologies. This article reflects numerous interviews with all of them conducted in person via Skype or by telephone. So these are not bureaucrats. These are not politicians. These are not people who are tied to the DNC or tied to the Democratic Party in any way. These are not people running for office. These are people who are experts in their field, who have examined the evidence, who've come to some conclusions, for which those conclusions they base in evidence and in data. Not rhetoric. Not going on MSNBC and saying, fire Trump, fire Trump, fire Trump, but actual evidence that can no longer be ignored. The VIPS organization had reached out to Obama and gave him information from their findings just before Obama left office, just before he gave his final speech. And they said they have all argued that the hack theory is wrong. They have all argued that the hack theory is wrong, and that a locally executed leak is the far more likely explanation. In a letter to Barack Obama dated January 17, 3 days before he left office, the group explained that the NSA's known programs are fully capable of capturing all electronic transfers of data. Let me say that again. The group explained that the NSA's, National Security Agency, known programs are fully capable of capturing all electronic data transfers. We strongly suggest that you ask NSA for any evidence it may have indicating that the result of Russian hacking were given to WikiLeaks. If the NSA cannot produce such evidence, and quickly, this would probably mean it does not have any. So the VIPS organization wrote President Obama at the time, then President Obama, a letter. And in that letter, they explained to him that there is no way the NSA wouldn't have evidence of Russian hacking if it in fact occurred. They have programs in place on these servers which will highlight, which will show without a shadow of a doubt if there was data transferred from these servers to somewhere else. And you will be able to see that because we are not in the Stone Age. We use technology, and our technology is capable of doing this. And in fact, that's the technology's job. And if they can't produce that information, and quickly, it's because they do not have that information. This is very important. Up until now, VIPS was only able to make the assertion of negative proof, the absence of evidence, and say, hey, if you don't have the evidence showing where the data was transferred to Russia, then you don't have a case. Because you don't have it, it didn't happen. And that may be true to a certain degree, but that still leaves a lot of room. Well, maybe we just don't have it because, well, maybe we missed it. Maybe they're so good they were able to cover their tracks. Just because there is no body doesn't mean nobody died or that someone didn't die. Get it? So that's been the argument. That's all VIPS has been able to say. There's no body, well, therefore, there's no murder. And they're saying, well, maybe the body got cremated. Maybe the body's in the lake. Maybe it swims with the fishes like Scaramucci. Maybe they went to the moon. Maybe they changed their identity. Maybe they had a sex change. Maybe they ripped off their fingernails or their thumbs, their fingerprints, shaved them down, and they're living an alternate life. So that's until now. That's until now. Now, we're at a different point. Research into the DNC's case took a fateful turn in early July when forensic investigators who had been working independently began to share findings and from loose collaborations. Remember, you got 30 members in this VIP organization. They were working independently. When they came back together, they were able to put pieces together. Now that VIP's personnel are collaborating, working together, they needed a place to put their information, to sort of pool it and table everything that they found in a central location. That location was disobedientmedia.com, a small website run by, I think, co-founder Elizabeth Voss. Now, there are two members here, two names, the Forensicator and Adam Carter. Who these people are in real life, we don't know. But what we do know is the data, the analysis, the scientific verification of their detailed analysis, how they drew their conclusions, what they mean, and evidence of what they found and why we should believe it, or why it's testable and verifiable. Forget why you should believe it. You should believe it because it's verifiable, testable, quantifiable, not based on rhetoric, not based on emotions, not based on fear, but based in science, based on the thing. So the Forensicator July 9th document indicates that he lives, we don't care where he lives, but he lives in the Pacific time zone. Adam Carter in England. What we want is the data. We want to know what happened. Okay, so here we go. The Forensicator is working with the documents published by Guccifer 2.0, focusing from now on the July 5th intrusion into the DNC server. The contents of Guccifer's files are known. They were published last September and are not for the Forensicator's concern. His work is with the metadata on these files. These data did not come to him in any clandestine means. Forensicator simply has access to them that others did not have. It is this access that prompts Kirk Wiebe and others to suggest the Forensicator may be someone with exceptional talent and training inside an agency such as the FBI. Forensicator unlocked and then analyzed what had been the hacked or locked files, the locked files Guccifer supposedly took from the DNC server. To do this, he would have to have access privilege. So, what has the Forensicator proven since he turned the key? How? What has work done atop Forensicator's findings proven, and how? So, Forensicator's got a key. He's able to get access to the metadata on the actual files that Guccifer 2.0 released. And anyone, please correct me in the comment section if anything here I'm misinterpreting. That's what I get from it. The metadata is information about the files, not just the files themselves. The metadata of this sheet of paper would not contain the words. It would contain the word count. It would contain when this document was created, when it was modified, when it was edited, how it was sent, how it was received. Metadata is the life of the history of the document. In the description of that document, white piece of paper, black ink, one page, that would be the metadata of this that I'm reading. And that's the information that Forensicator is looking at. That's what he's going to examine. Because then we can determine where it came from. Not what it was, not what it says, where it came from. And isn't that what this is all about? Because they say the documents were hacked and that Russia hacked it. The metadata is where you start. Forensicator's first decisive findings made public in the paper July 9th concern the volume of the supposed hacked material and what is called the transfer rate, the time a remote hack would require. The metadata established several facts in this regard with granular precision. On the evening of July 5th, 2016, 1,976 megabytes of data were downloaded from the DNC server. The operation took 87 seconds. This yields a transfer rate of 22.7 megabytes per second. Anyone who's not into technology to this degree, and you're kind of lost right now, let's just say when you copy a file, it takes a while, depending on the size of the file, the number of files, the overall size. The overall size, that's right. So you copy a file, you've seen it, you copy on your computer. The amount of time it takes to copy it depends on how big of a file it is. You got a crappy connections, take longer. You got a fast connections, quicker. Where are you copying it? Are you copying it across the internet? It took 87 seconds to transfer 1,976 megabytes of data. That's how long it took. So that way you can determine how it was copied by the length of time it took to copy it. So that tells you how it was copied. You can't copy 1,987 megabytes of data in 87 seconds from Russia, from DC to Russia. They don't make the internet fast enough to do that. You don't have a connection that quick to do that. In 2016, July 5th, we did not have, and I don't know if we have now, we do not have the type of technology with that type of transfer speeds available on the internet. This is important. Listen. These, let me say it right. These statistics are matters of record and are essential to disproving the hack theory. No internet service provider, such as a hacker would have to use in 2016, mid-2016, was capable of downloading data at this speed. Compounding these contradictions, or this contradiction, Guccifer claimed to have run his hack from Romania. For numerous reasons, technically called delivery overheads would slow down the speed of a hack even further from maximum achievable speeds. So Guccifer claimed to have run his hack from Romania, which from numerous reasons technically called delivery overheads. So the fact you're in Romania, if Guccifer is right and he said, I'm in Romania, I hacked the DNC, well, Romania's internet connection speed, now going to the US, the transfer speed, it's impossible. Not this amount of data, not transferred in this amount of time. And we know about the size of the data. We know about the transfer rate, which was from here to here, right, was 87 seconds. And it's impossible. It could not have happened. Timestamps in the metadata indicate the download occurred somewhere on the east coast of the United States, not Russia. Oh, snap! Oh, snap. So you mean to tell me from the metadata we can see where it was downloaded from? We can actually see that? You mean the forensicator has a key that will unlock the door that shows us this? That the location of the destination? And you mean that location of that destination is not Russia or Romania or China or North Korea? Get out of here, dog. You mean the FBI, the NSA, those 17 intelligence organizations, which later turned to 3, who are now only moderately confident that this was a hack by Russia? You mean they don't have the tools to do what the forensicator did? No, 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 not in my house. They did numerous tests to come to their conclusions that you cannot transfer data across the internet in a hack at the speeds that these files were transferred. For example, you cannot drive 175 miles per hour in a car that can only do 95. It ain't gonna happen. There is no way to do it. It's impossible. It goes on to say a speed of 22.7 megabytes is simply unobtainable, especially if we're talking about a transoceanic data transfer. Foden said. Based on the data we now have, what we've been calling a hack is impossible. Last week, Forensicated reported on the speed test he conducted. More recently, it tightens the case considerably. Transfer rates are 23 megabytes per second, and they're just highly unlikely. They're not just highly unlikely, but effectively impossible to accomplish when communicating over the internet at any significant distance. Now listen to this part. If you're still there, if you're interested, you want to know more, you want to get to the bottom of this. You don't want to just listen to mainstream media, go after chasing red herrings. You want actual data. You want the truth. Listen to this. Timestamps in the metadata provide further evidence of what happened on July 5th. These stamps recording the download indicate that it occurred in Eastern Daylight Standard Time Zone at approximately 6:45 p.m. This confirms that the person entering the DNC system was working somewhere on the East Coast of the United States. In theory, the operation could have been conducted from Bangor or Miami or anywhere in between, but not Russia, Romania, or anywhere else outside the EDT zone. Combined with Forensicators' finding on the transfer rate, the timestamps constitute more evidence that the download was conducted locally, since delivery overheads, conversion of data into packets, addressing, separating times, error checks, and the like degrade all data transfers conducted via the internet, more or less according to the distances traveled. It is clear, another forensics investigator wrote, that metadata was deliberately ordered and documents were deliberately passed into a Russian-fied Word document with Russian language settings and style headings. Someone took the data, copied the data into a Russian template to try to fool the world into believing that this was a Russian hack. But they could not erase the metadata that showed the document's condition before and then after the change. They could not erase the information because we have the key to unlock the metadata to see the transfer rate, the creation, delivery, the size, time, all of these things. Now, this is the kicker, because we like kickers, don't we? On June 12th last year, Julian Assange announced that WikiLeaks had and would publish documents pertinent to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. That's important. June 12th, Julian Assange announced to the world that I'm going to publish these documents. I remember when he did it. June 14th, CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity firm hired by the DNC, announced, without providing evidence, that it had found malware on DNC servers and had evidence that Russians were responsible for planning it. 2 days after Julian Assange says we're going to release this information about Hillary, then CrowdStrike, a third party, not a government entity, not the FBI, not the NSA, but CrowdStrike, that work for Hillary Clinton, that are paid by Hillary Clinton, or I should say the DNC, which to me is the same thing, says, hey, by the way, we found some stuff on our computers. There's some malware, and we know Russia did it. Well, how do you know Russia did it? How dare you ask, how do we know? We just know. We just know. And you got to believe us. Us people hired for services by the DNC. On June 15th, Guccifer 2.0 first appeared, took responsibility for the hack, reported on June 14th, and claimed to be a WikiLeaks source. So this guy jumps out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm the WikiLeaks guy. Look at me, I'm WikiLeaks. On July 5th, Guccifer again claimed he had remotely hacked DNC servers, and the operation was instantly described as another intrusion attributed to Russia. Virtually no media questioned this account. So why was Guccifer so easily believed? why didn't the media ask for verification of some proof or evidence that he was who he says he was and that he did what he said he did? Could it be it played into a false narrative that the DNC was hacked by Russia, so that's what we want to go with? So we don't need to actually know if it's true or not. We just need to go with it. Could that be it? Okay, so Patrick Lawrence goes on to say in this article, it does not require too much thought to read into this sequence. With his June 12th announcement, Assange effectively put the DNC on notice that it had a little time, probably not much, to act preemptively against the imminent publication of damaging documents. Did the DNC quickly conjure Guccifer from thin air to create a cyber saboteur whose finger points to Russia? There is no evidence of this one way or the other, but emphatically it is legitimate to pose the question in the context of the VIP's chronology. WikiLeaks began publishing on July 22nd. By that time, the case alleging Russian interference in the 2016 elections process was taking firm root. In short order, Assange would be written down as a Russian agent. Oh, man, this is so sinister, so crafty, so wrong. By any balanced reckoning, the official case purporting to assign a systemic hacking effort to Russia, the events of mid-June and July 1st or 5th last year, being the foundation of this case, is shabby to the point taxpayers should ask for their money back. The intelligence community assessment, the supposedly definitive report featuring the high-confidence dodge, was greeted as farcically flimsy when issued January 6. Ray McGovern calls it a disgrace to the intelligence profession. It is spotlessly free of evidence, front to back, pertaining to any events in which Russia is implicated. James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, admitted in May that hand-picked analysis from 3 agencies, not the 17 previously reported, drafted the ICA, which is the Intelligence Community Assessment. There's no way to understand hand-picked that is less obvious than meets the eye. The report was sequestered from rigorous agency-wide review. This is the way these people have spoken to us for the past year. So for the past year, as they were digging into this, they were trying to get information to why this so-called security community come to these conclusions. They were told, well, we did a sequester and we did this and we did this, very official-like, so get away. Go away, kid, you bother me. You're bugging me, kid. Get lost. Get lost, kid. We got this figured out. We got this. We got this. Okay, what do you got? We got this. What is this? Go away, you bother me. We're the professionals here. Okay, show me the evidence. Okay. Behind the ICA lie other indefensible realities exist. The FBI has never examined the DNC's computer servers. Oh, man, we've been saying that for how long? H.A. Goodman and I have been talking about this for how long? He's got a petition, doesn't he, to have the DNC allow the FBI to look at the servers? You mean to tell me after all this time the DNC has never turned over their servers for them to be analyzed by the FBI? You mean after all this time, you mean to tell me someone shot a gun, you have the gun, and you haven't given the gun to forensics to look at the gun? Instead, you had some guy off the street you paid money to come and look at the gun and write a report? You mean to tell me that MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, all of these entities have put out this narrative based on no investigation, no clear analysis of the actual thing that they say was hacked? that we're relying on corporations who are paid corporations being hired to give us a reason, to give us an explanation, and they can't give us evidence. They give us a report, but no evidence to show us where the report came from. This is justice. This is how we do business. This is how we operate. And us, independent media, who question the narrative, who just want to know routine questions like, okay, you had a murder here. You say there was a murder. There's the murder weapon, or this is the thing that was robbed. Can we test it for fingerprints? So you're telling me somebody broke into your house. Well, let us come down. Let us have the police come down and find out. Let's test some fingerprints. No, don't do that. We'll have a private investigator look at it. Really? We are the entity that does this thing. This is what we do. We come down, we look, we collect evidence, we analyze the scene. This is what we do. No, we don't want you to do that. We good. We've already drawn our conclusions about who did it. Well, based on what? And I'm just reiterating this because I want to just drive this point home to how ludicrous all of it is and how crafty and sinister it is. They may take this video down. They may try to knock me off of these platforms, but this story must be told. We are at the brink of war with a superpower because of this lie. Now, there are some of us who don't know this information, who have no access to this information. This is just a crystallization of all that we've been talking about, us truth seekers. Forget labels, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, libertarian. I don't care about that. We've been talking about this for quite some time. I brought my meager experience in loss prevention, also my experience, more extensively my experience in technology, and made comments and said a lot of this stuff. One is whenever from a loss prevention, from a law enforcement standpoint, whenever something has gone missing, we always look internal first. The fact that that was not done with any veracity, as if they were actually trying to get to the bottom of anything by an entity whose job is to do that, that was the red flag right there for me. That's the first thing you do is start looking inside. We start checking the people that work there. From a technology standpoint, now we have that dead to rights. A helicopter is not going to take you from D.C. to Tokyo in 2 hours. It just can't do it. You can't do it. You could say it could do it. You could believe it happened, and that's the equivalent of saying the DNC was hacked by Russia for the DNC emails. We know how long it took to get them. We know how long the transfer it was of actual taking it from the DNC service to wherever location it was put. It can't be done. It's impossible. It's not an opinion. It's not a political game. It's not a finger point. It's just impossible. In closing, Patrick Lawrence says this: all those interviewed came in between 90% and 100% certain that the forensics prove out. I have already quoted Skip Foden's answers, impossible based on the data. The laws of physics don't lie, Ray McGovern volunteered at one point. It's QED, theorem demonstrated. William Binney said in response to my question, there is no evidence out there to get me to change my mind. When I asked Edward Loomis, a 90% man, about the 10% he held out, he replied, I've looked at the work and it shows there was no Russian hack, but I didn't do the work. That's the 10%. I'm a scientist. My only hope is that the truth will be publicized, that it will be televised, that it will be echoed, because people need to know this. Once again, this is bigger than just right and right and left and left and right. This is bigger than that. This is about, can you make up a bold-faced lie to cover your butt? And will the media go along with it? And the answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can. But when data is presented, when facts are laid out, can they continue that lie? I don't think they can. I think they're going to have to address this article written in this publication. See, they can ignore H.A. Goodman and I. They can call us kooky. They can call us Kremlin puppets, clickbait. They can call us all these names. They try to stifle our growth by labeling us grifters, involved in chicanery. They cannot disprove what has been proven by a number of scientists, well-regarded folks in their specific disciplines. And they will have to respond to this, and that's all you can ask for. And if this message gets out, more people will be asking similar questions. Because I don't care where you sit. I don't care where you hang out, what music you listen to, what style of clothes you wear, or who you voted for. One thing remains the same. You're not going to get 50 gallons of cow manure, horse chips, in a 20-gallon bucket. You just can't. And what they want you to believe is that you can. They won't even go into detail about how that could happen. They will not present you with any evidence. And what we did today is, this is a long video, but this is a video that's all evidence. I chime in from here and there, but the bottom line is the evidence is not there to support the Russian claim. The evidence is pointing to a leak. Someone internally transferred this data, which is what we've been saying. Was that someone Seth Rich? I strongly feel it was, but it may not have been. I have no proof of that other than circumstantial evidence that I feel ties him. But there was someone, somewhere, physically at the DNC that copied the data that turned into the Russia hack myth. And right now, your country and various other countries are affected by the lie that has been perpetrated. Bold-faced lies, fabrications, non-evidenced narratives that the Russians hacked our 2016 elections. Thank you for taking time out of your day to understand why the Russian hacking myth must go away, why I believe it should go away, based on evidence, not based on my emotions, not based on my promotion, not based on the commotion of the mainstream media, but based on fact and evidence. I want to thank Patrick Lawrence for an amazing article in The Nation. I want to thank H.A. Goodman, my partner in crime, for sticking to your ethics, because you and I have been preaching this for months to much ridicule. And I want to thank my audience who have got my back. I have your back. We just want the truth. Please share this video. The lies stop now.